He got in there, it looked like he had this cordwood stacked along the edge of there. I don't know how many stacks, but it wasn't cordwood. It was dead Germans that were stacked. So I don't know. There must have been a couple hundred dead Germans there waiting for the German to take care of them. But we had about 12 inches of snow on the ground at the time. And then when about a week later, the snow melted and we had to go out on the hillside around and search for bodies and body parts of the infantry that was killed there. We found this one combat boot. The foot was still in it. But we lived two days in a pig pen. Now there was no more pigs in the pig pen, but it was very clean and it was dry. You had shelter, and we were able to make a fire up in the upper part of the pen. It was a two-story pen, and we could make a fire up there. And that, it was good enough to keep us warm and out of the snow. But just that day-to-day living in the infantry, it left a lot to be desired. They took our clothing, the barracks bags that we had all our clothing in before we started the battle for Metz. They took our barracks bags and put them in a schoolhouse. We didn't get the barracks bags back for 5 weeks. In that 5 weeks' time, I had 2 showers and 2 changes of underwear. I didn't have any clean shirt or pants because they didn't have them available in your size. But when the battle started, I weighed 180 pounds. When it was over, at the end of about 5 months, when I was wounded and went back to the hospital, I had dropped from 180 down to 124.
I was in the Navy Reserve from 49 to 54, and then I was civilian. It was during between the 2 wars.
My military service was when I graduated from college. I went into the infantry school at Fort Benning, Georgia, and from there I went to Camp Rucker, Alabama.
Got in the Navy in 1961. Did active duty till 1981. I was home ported out of Yokosuka, Japan, when I was out floating around on the Oklahoma City, which was 7th Fleet flag. She controlled everything in the Pacific. We usually had an escort of 4 to 6 destroyers. But it was fun. I wouldn't change a thing.
Well, I worked at the bomber plant at on Brookford Road well, of course, Brookport. And I went to school for about 6 months, and then I was made an inspector on the B-29 parts. We did the outboard wing, the vertical fin, and the horizontal stabilizer. And then we shipped those to another place where they assembled them. And of course, you know that the B-29 was the one that bombed Japan. It was the Oligay, I think is the name of it. And the minute the war ended, as a matter of fact, I was in San Francisco getting married. The war ended while I was there. And when I came back, the plant was closed. I never did get my toolbox back with all my tools. And it was a good experience, and I worked with lots of nice girls. They were called Rosie the Riveters. And once in a while we had a little ado, but usually we got along pretty well. And I was glad when the war was over, and my husband came home in about a year after that.
Well, I went to officers training school. I went then to pilot training, but I had inconsistent landing, so then I went to navigator training, and graduated and went out to California for electronic warfare training for 3 months. Went down to Merced, California for 3 months of B-52 crew training, and then I went to my base at Homestead Air Force Base and got on a B-52 crew and was an electronic warfare officer. And our unit was there for 3 years, and then they moved us up to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and that's where I finished I was there for about a year, and I married a nurse after that. I met a nurse in the hospital there, and so I had surgery, and then I got out the end of December out of the Air Force after 6 years, 10 months, and 1 day service. And our unit, every year, we were scheduled to fly airborne alert, ready to go bomb Russia for a month. The unit was, so we would fly, when we were in Florida, we'd fly up the Atlantic Ocean and go to Europe and circle over there, ready to go bomb Russia, and then go back home to Homestead Air Force Base, and those were 24-hour flights with 3 air refuelings. And when they moved us up to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, those flights, 24-hour flights, we'd just fly up north over the United States and Canada and circle around the North Pole, ready to go bomb Russia in those 24-hour flights. So fortunately, we never had to.